What is stages of grief? Denial. Grief is an intense emotional response that occurs when a person experiences a loss. It is a natural process that allows individuals to cope with and eventually heal from the loss of a loved one, a relationship, or even a job. The stages of grief are a well-known framework used to describe the emotional and psychological processes that individuals go through when experiencing grief. The first stage of grief is denial, which is characterized by a sense of disbelief and an inability to accept the reality of the loss. Denial is a common coping mechanism used by individuals when faced with a traumatic event or loss. In the context of grief, denial can manifest as a refusal to believe that the loss has occurred, or as a belief that the loss is temporary and will be reversed. This initial response to loss can be seen as a way for individuals to protect themselves from the overwhelming emotions associated with grief. It can also be a way for individuals to buy time to process the reality of the loss. Denial is not always a conscious decision, and individuals may not even be aware that they are in denial. They may continue to go about their daily lives as if nothing has changed, ignoring the signs of their grief. They may also experience physical symptoms such as numbness, fatigue, and a sense of detachment from reality. The denial stage of grief can last for varying amounts of time, depending on the individual and the circumstances of the loss. Some individuals may move through this stage quickly, while others may remain in denial for an extended period of time. It is important to note that there is no right or wrong way to grieve, and everyone's experience of grief is unique. It is also important to note that denial is not a permanent state. Eventually, individuals will need to confront the reality of their loss and move on to the next stage of grief. This can be a difficult and painful process, but it is an essential step in the healing process. One of the challenges of the denial stage is that it can be difficult for friends and family members to understand. They may see the individual in denial and wonder why they are not accepting the reality of the loss. It is important for loved ones to be patient and supportive during this stage, as pushing an individual to move on too quickly can be counterproductive. There are several things that individuals can do to help themselves move through the denial stage of grief. The first step is to acknowledge the reality of the loss. This can be a difficult step, but it is essential for individuals to begin to process their grief. They can also seek support from friends, family, or a therapist. Talking about their feelings can help individuals to process their emotions and move through the denial stage. Another helpful strategy is to engage in self-care. This can include getting enough sleep, eating a healthy diet, and engaging in physical activity. These behaviors can help individuals to manage their stress and anxiety, which can be heightened during the denial stage of grief. It is also important for individuals to be patient with themselves during this stage. Grief is a complex process, and it takes time to work through the emotions and thoughts associated with it. Individuals should not feel guilty or ashamed for being in denial, as it is a natural response to loss. In conclusion, the denial stage of grief is a natural and necessary part of the grieving process. It allows individuals to protect themselves from the overwhelming emotions associated with grief and can be a way to buy time to process the reality of the loss. However, it is important for individuals to eventually move through this stage and confront the reality of the loss. With support, self-care, and patience, individuals can successfully move through the denial stage and begin to heal from their grief.